I want you to picture something with me. It's, say 3 in the morning. You're lying in bed, you're staring at the ceiling, or maybe you're just standing in the middle of a room that feels way too small for you,
Hmm.
and you have this intense, almost desperate feeling in your chest. You want something to change.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a new house. Maybe you want your bank account to look different. Maybe a relationship needs to be fixed. You're squeezing your eyes shut and you're just hoping. You're throwing a wish out into the universe with everything you have.
The white knuckle wish. We've all been there.
Exactly. It's physical. You can feel the desire. But then, the sun comes up, the alarm goes off, and you go about your day.
Right.
And a month later, you're standing on the exact same dirt. Nothing has changed. And I think for a lot of people, that's where the cynicism sets in.
Oh, absolutely.
They think, I visualized it, I felt it, I wished for it, and nothing happened. So this whole idea of mindset it's just garbage.
And you know what? If that's their process, just wishing and squeezing their eyes shut, then they're absolutely right. It is garbage.
Right.
Because that's not visualization. That's, it's emotional looping. And there's a massive painful gap between the person who loops emotionally and the person who actually designs a change in their reality.
That is the distinction we're drilling into today. We're looking at episode 6 of the Charles F. Hannell series. The headline here is Visualization and Creative Action. But I want to be careful with that word, visualization.
Why that?
Because it's been co-opted, You hear visualization and you immediately think of influencers telling you to just imagine a Ferrari and it'll show up in your driveway.
Right, the magical thinking part.
Yeah, it feels soft. It feels like magic tricks.
I completely agree. And if you really look at the source text, Hannell is actually trying to rescue this concept from the magicians and give it back to the engineers.
The engineers, I like that.
He's not talking about magic, he's talking about mechanics. He frames visualization not as a dreaming process, but as an architectural one.
Okay, so let's strip the paint off the house. If we're not talking about daydreaming, what are we really talking about?
We're talking about the difference between a vacant lot and a blueprint. Imagine 2 people standing on a plot of dirt. Person A wants a house. They want it really, really bad. They can imagine how warm it would be. But they have no plan.
Mm-hmm.
Person B might not be feeling as much emotion, but they're holding a blueprint. They know where the load-bearing walls go. They know the PSI of the concrete for the foundation.
So person A has a wish, person B has a specification.
Precisely. And in the mental world, most of us are person A. We have these vague, fuzzy desires. I want to be rich. I want to be fit. Those are not blueprints. Those are complaints about your current reality disguised as goals. Hannell argues that the universal energy, that creative force we've talked about in previous discussions, it can't work with a complaint. It can only fill a mold.
And visualization is the act of building that mold.
Building it strictly, clearly, and with dimension. Yes.
Before we get into the how-to, we need to address the what. What's the engine here? Because Hannell drops some heavy terminology in this section.
He does. And this is where we have to kind of bridge the gap between 1912 philosophy and, our modern understanding.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one. It really helps us keep the lights on and keep digging into these texts. Now, talk to me about this engine.
Visualization sets the direction.
To understand visualization, we first have to understand what we're visualizing with. Hannell defines it essentially as the process of making a mental image clear and distinct. But it's not just seeing pictures.
Right, because I can close my eyes right now and see a pink elephant. That doesn't mean I'm manifesting a pink elephant.
Exactly. That's just fancy. That's just the brain playing with pixels. True visualization, according to this text, has 3 distinct pillars. If you're missing any one of them, you're just watching mental movies.
Okay, lay them out for us. What's the first pillar?
The first is a clear inner picture. This is the architectural draft we just mentioned. It cannot be vague.
So no, I want a nice house.
No. You need to see the roofline. You need to know the materials. You need to see the way the light hits the floorboards in the afternoon.
So specificity is everything. It's the difference between I want to be fit and I can see myself running 5 miles without stopping and I know what shoes I'm wearing.
Exactly. The brain needs a target, not a vague sentiment. And that leads directly to the second pillar, a chosen meaning.
A chosen meaning.
This is the intent behind the picture. Why are you building this picture? What is the feeling associated with it?
So is this where the emotion comes in? Because earlier you said emotional looping is bad.
Right. Good question. Uncontrolled emotional looping is bad because it's usually based on fear or lack. Chosen meaning is different. It's the feeling of reality.
Okay.
It's not hysterical excitement. It's the calm knowing that this picture represents a real possibility. It's the feeling of position almost.
And the third pillar.
The third is a steady aim. This is focus, concentration. It's the ability to hold that one picture steady in your mind without it flickering out or, changing into something else every few seconds.
That sounds incredibly difficult. I feel like my mind is constantly flipping channels. I try to focus on the house, and 5 seconds later, I'm thinking about what I need to buy at the grocery store.
And that is precisely why Hanel gives a very specific warning in this text. He says, and this is a paraphrase, but it's that imagination is a good servant but a poor master.
Imagination is a good servant, but a poor master. Let's unpack that, because I usually hear imagination described as this universally good thing, use your imagination.
Well, think about what ungoverned imagination is. It's worry. It's anxiety.
Catastrophic thinking.
Catastrophic thinking, exactly. If you just let your imagination run the show, it will usually take you to dark places, or it'll distract you with fantasies that have no basis in reality.
So true visualization has to be directed. It's intentional.
It's directed by the will. You are the captain telling the imagination where to steer. If you take your hands off the wheel, the imagination will drift. And usually, it drifts toward fear or distraction.
A clear inner picture.
I want to pull out a specific piece of the source material that really, it just stopped me in my tracks. It's an analogy using Sanskrit terms. Now, usually when I see ancient terms in a text from the early 1900s, I worry we're veering into mysticism. But this felt technical.
It is very technical. He references the Prayojakarta and the Prayojakata.
Right. And for the listener who, doesn't have a degree in ancient Eastern philosophy, break that down for us.
Yeah.
But more importantly, why is Hanel, a St. Louis businessman, using these terms?
He's using them because English is actually quite limited when describing the hierarchy of power. We just use the word power for everything. But these terms, they describe a relationship. Protojackart is the source, the instigator. You could call it the universal energy, the quantum field. God, the label matters less than the function. It's the thing that provides the raw current.
Okay, the generator, the power plant.
Then you have the Prayojakarta. That is the agent. The user, that is you.
So one gives the power, the other uses the power. That seems pretty simple.
It sounds simple, but the implications are actually quite terrifying if you sit with them.
Terrifying? How so?
Because of the nature of the Prayojak, the source is neutral. Completely, utterly neutral.
What do you mean by neutral?
Think of the electrical grid in your city. That's the Prayojak. It's pumping millions of volts into the system. Now that electricity flows into your house. You, the Prayojak, the agent, you decide what to do with it.
Right.
You can plug in a heating pad to soothe the sore back.
Right.
Or you can stick a fork in the outlet and stop your heart.
The electricity doesn't have a conscience?
It has no conscience. It has no morality regarding how it's used. It creates and it destroys with equal enthusiasm. It just flows.
See, that pushes against so much of how people are raised. We're taught that the universe or God has a specific plan for us or is watching out for us. Hanel seems to be saying, here's the voltage, good luck.
In this specific context of creative power, yes. He's arguing that we are terrified of taking responsibility for the controls. We want the power plant to also be the nanny.
Ha, yeah.
We want the electricity to refuse to shock us if we make a mistake. But Hanel says, no. The law of electricity is the law of electricity. If you build a visualization of disaster, if you worry, if you obsess over failure, you are taking that raw, neutral power and you are using it to build a disaster.
So worry is it's reverse visualization.
Worry is aggressive visualization. It is using your Prayodia status to demand that the power create a negative outcome. What? You are drafting a blueprint of a car crash, handing it to the builder and saying, build this, and then you're surprised when you crash.
Wow. That puts the weight squarely on the individual. It suggests that the dark places our minds go are not just passive thoughts, we're actively financing them with this energy.
Exactly. You are funding your own misery. And this is why the clear inner picture is so vital. If you don't consciously design a positive mold for this energy, your subconscious fears will design a negative one for you. The energy has to go somewhere.
It has to do something.
It must do something.
So visualization is really about building a container for that energy so it doesn't spill out and burn the house down.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's building a container, a channel, for the power to flow through. You're acting as a transformer, stepping that raw energy down into a specific, useful form.
Action is the bridge.
Okay, I want to pivot. We've talked about the metaphysics, the energy, the Sanskrit, But, we claim to be exploring this deeply, and I know our listeners are skeptical.
As they should be.
They want to know if this is just placebo or if there's biology here. Because I can see the picture, and I can understand the energy concept, but I still have this gap. The gap between the thought and the doing. Why is it so hard to move from I see it to I am doing it?
This is where we can layer in some modern science to support what was, for Hanel, pure intuition. We're talking about the science of the bridge. It's biology. In fact, it's remarkably well-documented biology, specifically in the field of motor control and neuroplasticity.
The notes mention functional equivalence. To me, that just sounds like corporate speak.
Wait.
We need functional equivalence in our synergy. Decode that for us.
It does sound dry, doesn't it? But it's actually a breakthrough concept. Functional equivalence theory posits that the brain doesn't have a separate sandbox for imagination and a separate operating system for reality.
They share the same hardware.
They share the same hardware, exactly.
Wait, so if I'm actually lifting a weight, and I'm just sitting here imagining lifting a weight,
Yeah.
the same parts of my brain are lighting up.
Not just lighting up in some vague way. We're talking about the premotor cortex, the supplementary motor area, the cerebellum. When you vividly imagine a movement, say, a golf swing, those specific neural pathways fire in the exact sequence they would if you were actually holding a club. Now, the amplitude is lower. The signal isn't strong enough to, twitch the muscle, but the pathway is being traveled.
It's a dry run.
It is a simulation. But here's why that matters for creative action. Every time you run that simulation, you are myelinating that pathway.
Myelin. That's the insulation on the nerve, right?
Exactly. Think of a nerve signal like a car on a road. A dirt road is slow. The signal degrades. Myelin is the pavement. It makes the signal travel faster, more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
When you visualize a process like having a confident conversation with your boss, you are literally paving the neural road for that conversation before it even happens.
So when you actually walk into the office, you're not doing it for the first time?
Biologically, no. You're doing it for the 100th time. The action becomes automatic because the blueprint was already etched into the tissue of the brain. This is why Hanel says the action becomes natural. You're not forcing it.
You're just letting the train run on the tracks you laid down last night.
Perfectly said, yes.
No. But here's the trap. And I think this is where I've failed in the past, and probably a lot of people have. I spend so much time paving the road that I never actually drive the car. I just feel good about the pavement.
Ah, yes. The dopamine trap. This is the danger of fantasizing without action.
Right, because imagining success feels good.
It feels too good. When you fantasize about the result, winning the lottery, standing on the podium, your brain releases dopamine. You get the reward chemical.
Okay.
The problem is, dopamine is supposed to be the fuel that drives you to seek the reward. If you get the reward just by closing your eyes, the drive mechanism shuts down.
So you've hacked your own motivation system. You tricked your brain into thinking you already ate the meal, so you stop hunting.
Exactly. And this is the critical distinction Hanel makes, which modern science completely backs up. You shouldn't just visualize the result. You have to visualize the process. And crucially, you cannot use visualization as an escape from reality. It must be a blueprint for reality.
That's a huge distinction.
Yeah.
Visualization should be a stimulant, not a sedative.
If you're doing it right, true visualization should make you want to move. It should create a sense of almost urgency. Because you see the possibility so clearly, the current reality becomes uncomfortable.
Right.
You see the clean house in your mind, and suddenly the messy house you're standing in becomes unbearable. You have to fix it. That's the bridge.
Do not just fantasize.
So how do we do it right? Hanel gives us a method, and we've boiled it down to a very specific sequence because I want to make sure the listener walks away with a toolkit, not just a theory.
We have. And we also have a rule that I think is the secret sauce of this entire section. We call it the integrity rule. But let's look at the method first.
Okay, step one. What do we do?
First, choose one clear picture. Just one. Don't try to overhaul your entire life in a single session. Pick one area.
Okay, simple enough. Step two.
Next, choose one small action that proves the picture exists today.
I love that word, proves.
It's so important. You're looking for evidence. You're looking to bridge that gap between the mental world and the physical world immediately.
And step three.
And finally, repeat consistently without strain. Not with force, but with ease.
Okay, let's talk about that integrity rule. The outline says, do not rehearse what you refuse to live.
That sounds strict. It sounds like a commandment.
It is strict, but it's necessary physics. Imagine you're trying to visualize yourself as a healthy, vibrant person. You spend 20 minutes in the morning seeing yourself full of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, at lunch, you eat fast food that makes you feel sluggish, and you skip the gym because you're tired.
I am guilty. I have done exactly that. Probably this week.
We all have. But look at what happens internally. You are sending a signal to your subconscious. I am healthy. Then your actions send a signal. I am unhealthy. You're creating friction. You're creating internal conflict.
You're telling your subconscious two different stories.
Exactly. And the subconscious is a faithful servant. It looks at your actions, which are usually louder than your thoughts, and it says, okay, the thought was a lie, the action is the truth, and it discards the visualization.
It views you as a liar. It views you as a liar. Yes, that's a harsh way to put it, but it's accurate.
Wow, that hits hard. So the integrity rule means your actions must align with your mental rehearsal, even if it's just a tiny action.
Especially if it's a small action. You have to prove to yourself that you're not a liar. If you visualize health, you must eat the apple. Not because the apple magically saves you,
Right.
but because eating the apple aligns your physical reality with your mental blueprint. It reduces the friction. It tells the subconscious, see, we really are doing this.
Prove the picture today.
This is getting really practical. I want to ground this in some specific examples because I think that's where we really learn. Let's look at 3 areas: work, relationships, and habits. Because these are the big 3 where people really get stuck.
Great. Let's start with work.
Okay, example A. Let's say I have a massive project, a report, a creative pitch, something, and I'm procrastinating. I'm doing everything but the work. I'm cleaning the kitchen. I'm checking email.
The amateur visualizer imagines the applause. They imagine the boss saying, great job, and that feeling of relief.
That sounds nice, though. What's wrong with that?
It is nice, but it's the sedative we talked about. You get the relief without doing the work. The Hanel student visualizes the completion and the organization.
Okay.
They see the document sitting on the desk, finished. They see the file structure is clean. They see the clear argument. They visualize the state of doneness.
So they see the structure of the work itself, not the praise for it.
Yes. And then, immediately, they take the bridge action. They take the very first real step. They open the document. They type the title. They send the first email setting up the meeting.
They prove the picture exists today.
They break the static friction. It's physics. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. The visualization is the engine, but that small action is the spark plug.
Okay, example B, relationships. This is tricky. You can't control other people. And I think a lot of people try to use visualization to control others. I visualize my partner stopping being annoying.
Which is a complete violation of the law. You can't visualize for another person. You are the prayoya of your own power, not theirs. But you can control your contribution to the dynamic. Let's say you have a difficult relationship with a colleague or a family member.
So the visualization would be seeing them apologize.
No, because that violates the rule of control. You can't force them to change in your mind. Instead, you visualize an interaction filled with respect and clarity from your side.
Ah, okay.
See yourself remaining calm. See yourself listening without interrupting. See the tone of the conversation being steady. Visualize your own character in that moment.
And a bridge action. What's that?
Speak and listen differently in the very next conversation. Or maybe even smaller, just pause before reacting. If you visualized yourself as calm and then you snap at them 5 minutes later, you've broken the integrity rule.
You've proven the opposite of your picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to prove that the calm version of you is real.
That is tough. That requires a lot of self-discipline. It's way easier to just wish they would change.
It does. That's why Hanel calls it the master key system, not the easy button system. It requires you to change.
Fair point. Okay, example C, habits. Let's do a classic one. Trying to drink more water and stop drinking soda. Sounds trivial, but habits are made of these tiny things.
Simple but powerful. The visualization is seeing a healthier default state. You see yourself reaching for the water. You see yourself feeling hydrated and sharp. You don't focus on missing the soda that creates a sense of deprivation.
You focus on the presence of the vitality
Precisely.
and the bridge action.
Change the environment. Physically remove the soda from the fridge. Put a glass of water on your desk right now.
So the action is environmental design.
Often, yes. If you visualize a clean diet, but your pantry is full of junk food, your environment is fighting your mind. Align them. Make your physical world agree with your mental world. That is proof.
Consistency over intensity.
These examples really help, but I know myself, and I know I'm going to mess this up. What are the common pitfalls? Where do people go off the rails with this?
There are 5 big mistakes we see repeatedly when people try to apply this. And honestly, just knowing them is half the battle.
Okay, mistake number 1.
chasing intense feelings instead of steady practice.
Right, we live in an adrenaline culture. We want the big cinematic moment where we cry and have a breakthrough.
Exactly. But Hanel is very clear. The laws of mind work like the laws of nature. A seed does not explode into a tree overnight. It grows steadily.
So it's consistency over intensity.
It is so much better to have a steady, calm focus for 10 minutes every day than to have a burst of manic visualization for an hour once a month. The subconscious learns from repetition, not just from trauma.
It's like working out.
Exactly. One 10-hour workout will just hurt you. Daily 20-minute workouts will change your body.
Okay, mistake number 2.
Scattered thoughts. Hanel notes that scattered thoughts dissipate energy. It's like a hose with a bunch of holes in it. You just lose all the pressure.
Right.
If your mind is jumping from the house to the job to the vacation to the dog, you're not building anything. You're just making noise.
And the fix here is concentration exercises.
Yes. He suggests focusing on a single object. A pencil, a flower. Just holding it in your mind. It's boring, frankly.
Yeah.
But it builds the mental muscle. If you can't hold the picture of a simple pencil steady, you will struggle to hold a picture of a complex career goal.
Mistake number 3.
Doubting the blueprint. This is when you visualize, but a voice in the back of your head is saying, this is silly, this will never happen.
You're building the wall and tearing it down at the same time.
Exactly. The fix.
Yeah.
You have to treat the mental picture as a valid plan, not a wish. When an architect draws a wall, they don't doubt the wall. They know the wall will be there if the builders follow the plan. You're the architect. Trust your drawing.
Okay. Mistake number 4. Impatience.
The law of growth. We touched on this. Things take time to manifest. You have to allow the gestation period. You can't dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing.
That just kills the seed.
Kills the seed. And finally, mistake number 5, which we have hammered home. Separation of thought and deed.
And the fix is those immediate proof actions, the integrity rule.
Yes. Never let a visualization session end without moving a physical object in the real world to align with it. It grounds the electricity.
Repeat without strain.
I really like that rule. Never let a visualization session end without moving a physical object. That's a great takeaway. It takes it out of the clouds and puts it right here on the earth.
It grounds the electricity. That's what it does.
Okay, we're going to do something a little different now. We are actually going to do this. We're going to run a guided exercise right here. Because we can talk about swimming all day, but eventually you have to get wet.
We call this the picture then prove practice.
So if you're driving, obviously keep your eyes on the road, but you can still follow along mentally. If you're sitting down, get comfortable. I'm going to hand this over to you. Guide us through it.
Relax and slow down.
Thank you. Let's just take a moment to shift gears. We've been talking about concepts. Now we apply. First, I just want you to relax the body and slow the mind. Just let the tension drop out of your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Stop thinking about the next thing you have to do. Just be here for a moment. Now, step 2. Choose one simple outcome for today. Just for today. Not for 5 years from now. It could be finishing a task, having a calm dinner, or taking a peaceful walk. Pick one small thing. Step 3. Build a clean mental picture of it already done. See the task finished. See the dinner table cleared. See your shoes by the door after the walk. Make it crisp. See the edges. Don't strain, just allow yourself to see it. Step 4. Add one word that captures the tone you want. Is the tone ease? Is it focus? Is it joy? Just overlay that word on the picture. Let it color the image. Now, step 5. Ask yourself this specific question. What is one action that proves this picture today? Hold that answer in your mind. It should be small. It should be immediate. Step 6. This is an instruction for when we finish. Do that action immediately after this exercise is over. Not in 5 minutes. Immediately.
And finally, step 7. Remove one contradiction. Is there something on your desk that distracts you? Is there a notification on your phone that pulls you away? Identify one thing that contradicts your picture and resolve to remove it.
Remove one contradiction.
That was clarifying. It's amazing how just taking 60 seconds to do that clears out the noise. It just stops the spinning.
It creates a signal. In a noisy world, a clear signal is power.
In a noisy world, a clear signal is power. I'm writing that down. That's the tweet of this whole conversation.
Please do.
So let's bring this all together. We have covered a lot of ground, from Sanskrit philosophy to brain scans. Let's recap the key takeaways for the listener to take with them. Because we don't want this to just be entertaining. We want it to be utility.
Let's boil it down. First, visualization is a blueprint, not a daydream. You're an architect, not a wisher. Stop wishing. Start designing.
Next.
Action bridges the inner and the outer worlds. Without that bridge, The blueprint just stays on the paper. You have to move your feet.
Then,
The brain practices through imagery. This is functional equivalence.
Yeah.
You are literally training your motor circuits. You're paving the road with myelin.
furthermore,
You must prove your picture with daily action. Small proofs build big belief. One small action is worth more than 1,000 big thoughts.
additionally,
Integrity means your actions have to match your mental rehearsals.
Right.
Don't create friction by visualizing one thing and doing another. Don't be a liar to your subconscious.
also,
Consistency is more important than emotional intensity. Show up every day. Small inputs, repeated, create massive outputs.
and finally,
Remove contradictions in your environment. Make your physical space agree with your mental aim. If your environment fights your mind, fix your environment.
the ideal in character.
Incredible! This really changes the way I think about positive thinking. It's not about fluff. It's about alignment. It's about physics.
It's about physics,
Right?
mental physics.
Yeah.
And it requires practice. It's a skill, not a gift.
Now we're moving on in the next exploration to something that builds right on top of this. Because once you start acting, you start forming habits.
Yes. The next one we're looking at is titled The Ideal and Character. We're going to look at how these habitual thoughts and actions we talked about today, eventually they harden. They harden into what we call character. And character, as the ancients said, is destiny.
That sounds intense. I can't wait.
It's where the temporary becomes permanent. It is very powerful stuff.
Well, I'm going to go take my proof action right now. I have a picture in my head of a clean studio, so I'm going to organize my notes.
Excellent. I will do the same.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.